Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today is the day where you have sent in your questions via my community page on YouTube, and I am going to ask my spirit guides to help me answer them. So let's get going. Ava Dillon says, is Pence going to run for 2024 since he's doing a town hall on CNN on Wednesday, the day after 45's supposed announcement? Well, Pence has a new book out, which is going to get him a special invitation to the DOJ because he's got some explaining to do, because he talked about in that book a lot of things that the DOJ is, in fact, investigating Trump for. So is he going to run for 2024? Here's the thing. Right now, where we are right now, which is the House hasn't even been called yet. We don't know who's going to get control of the House. Now, I still think that the Dems are going to pull it out, but it's really close. So where we are is in a place of complete disbelief within the Republican Party. They knew, they even said as much. You know, Lindsey Graham, is it famous for saying, or McConnell, if we put this man on the ticket, Trump, we deserve everything we're going to get and we're going to lose, right? This was before the guy was even on the ticket. So yes, the Republicans are reeling right now because they have a Trump problem. They can't trust the polls. The polls have been wrong, and they don't know precisely where the will of the average Republican voter stands. How much support really does Trump have? Not very much, because all of his Trump picks failed. 95% of them failed. So now you have the Republican Party trying to disassociate themselves from Trump, but it's really too early for Pence to announce that he's going to run. Pence wants to run. When I go into his energy, he wants to run. He would like, actually, Liz Cheney to be his VP running mate. Now, right now, the Republican establishment is torn between Pence and Cheney. They feel like Pence and Cheney were traitors against Trump. So we have to let all that shake out. It's not clear yet if the Republican Party will be smart enough or courageous enough to kick Trump out and try to reassemble their party with some cooler, saner, more middle of the road people. Okay. It's just not known yet, but I don't see Pence announcing that he's running. I can see Trump announcing he's running because he's addicted to power. For one thing, he's addicted to the publicity, and he needs his followers, the ones that have really drunk the Kool-Aid. He needs those people to stay engaged and have a reason to be engaged. And he thinks that is going to offer him some sort of protection from being indicted. If nothing else, he feels like it's a bargaining chip. Everything with him, right, is transactional. So if I have this and you have that, let's do a little deal, right? So, and we already know he's tried to make deals with the DOJ. So that's kind of what I think is going on there. Thank you for your question, Ava. Boho in Mexico said that there's already investigations looking into Texas and Florida's governor races. Charlie Crist asked for an investigation on DeSantis's win. Will we hear about this before January? And then as far as Charlie Crist goes, I think Charlie Crist really will. His energy suggests that he will be a thorn in the side of DeSantis, that he will continue to poke and prod into those races, because Charlie Crist actually has a history of being a Republican and a Democrat. He doesn't seem to have that virus that Democrats have where we just slink away. It's like we have this ingrained defeatism in us. So when we think we've lost, we just walk away instead of fighting, to say maybe we didn't lose. But Chris doesn't have that. So he's going to make himself a real pain in their side in Florida. Now, overall, I'm just going to tell you the guides are saying that the votes, the races, I don't know what they're saying there. The races were tampered with. The votes were tampered with both. That's what they're saying. They were tampered with. They were stopped. They were, the word is coerced, stopped. There was intimidation. It wasn't fair. These were not fair elections, they're telling me. But they're also showing me Louisiana, Mississippi. So they're showing me all along the South down here that our races are not fair. Think about these races in Colorado or California or New Mexico, other places where the race has come down to a few hundred votes. If they hadn't let everybody vote that wanted to vote and counted them all, those races probably could have been spun towards Republicans too. Here in Texas, we're saying, no, you can't vote. We don't have paper ballots. We're out of paper, for God's sake. Or, no, you're not here in time. I mean, they're really laws that govern this. But what happened is, they're reminding me, is the Supreme Court recently ruled against voting laws and really loosened up the laws around voting. So the first thing that's going to happen when we take the second thing, but it's in the top couple of things that they will do, is we will redouble our efforts to bring that voting law back that never made it. We will bring it through. It will go through. We will have a new national voting law within the first year. Within the first year or so, that would be within 2023. So that's a big deal. That's going to change everything. So you won't have so many shenanigans going on locally as you do now. Now, of course, they just showed me. What will happen is we'll have to take these people to court. So we'll have the law on our side, but we will have to stand up for our rights, and we'll have to actually litigate against them and press the issue. So there's more work to be done here. Hopefully that makes sense to you, Boho. Thank you for your question. More questions about the investigation into Texas and Florida. I do think that Florida will have some investigations. It's not going to be a big formal investigation because look, that whole state is sewn up. I mean, but Chris will continue to make it a deal. Now, Beto, on the other hand, is a different thing. I feel like Beto I think he's finally gotten the message that Texas is not a nut that he can crack right now, and that he does have name recognition. He does have amazing abilities as a politician, as a leader. And I think that he's going to be more likely to take a position that Biden may offer him because he wants to stay relevant. He needs to, and honestly, I think the DNC and Biden realize this is a rising star. This is a young guy that really can help and really be a leader in the future. And they don't want him to get discouraged. They really want to keep him plugged in, and they want to give him an opportunity to actually make gains, to do something, to see that he's doing something. So I think that he may go into the administration. I often see him with Pete Buttigieg for some reason. And also I feel like him and Stacey Abrams, Beto and Abrams, their energy is linked in some way. So I do feel like both of those people will go into the administration in some capacity. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Thank you for your question. So Paula has a different, Paula Schneiser has a different bent on the same question. Will an investigation ever find that elections in Texas have been undermined going back years and decades? Yes, I think so. But I wish I could explain this, that how dangerous it is right now. The energy suggests that there is truly real danger in exposing these people. And so sometimes okay. Well, that doesn't. 1-800-SPIRIT Guides, press 1 for complaints. And they're showing me that's why we're just now litigating something that happened 4 years ago, right? I mean, it takes a long time to litigate these things because it allows tempers to cool. You know, you think about all these big serial killers or people, like, by the time they get before a jury, it's sometimes a year or more later, and you've forgotten all about it. You know, like whatever passionate stance you had on it is gone. Like, you're like, oh, that's just now being tried. What, you know? So yes, we will go back and we will go back and determine that there were decades of misuse, misappropriation, intimidation of votes and voters. But that's not, we're looking at maybe 3 to 5 years from now that happens. So I look, I wish justice were a lot faster. It's just not. I don't know why, but it's just not. I mean, the guides are saying everything in its due time. And there is a reason for these lag times. It allows tempers to cool. It allows you to handle it. Sometimes the situation is too hot to even handle. So some time allows everything and everyone to cool down, so that these things can be handled in a more neutral way. That's what I'm getting. All right. That's what, and Zoe agrees. Okay. And Emily Jane says, the night of the midterm, she was lying awake like the rest of us, worrying about the outcomes. And suddenly Thurgood Marshall popped into her head. And she says she just got this impression that maybe he had a message, and she would ask me to ask him if he has a message for us at this time. Now, Thurgood Marshall was Supreme Court Justice, the first African-American Supreme Court Justice from 1967 to 91. He was a liberal, and he was very key in ending segregation, racial segregation. So I would say when I'm tapping into him now, I feel like he sees a lot of hope. He says we are sort of, he's saying that we are retrying, as in going back to court, retrying something. We're retrying the civil rights right now. He says there's a lot at stake. But he says that we have this opportunity to go back and acknowledge the work that was done and to continue to protect those laws. He's talking about affirmative action. He's talking about a lot of things right now. And he says that we have an opportunity now to stand up once again. It's coming back around for us, a younger generations, to say, we want this. We still believe in the rights of everyone. We still believe in these laws that were made in the 1960s. And we want to continue that as part of our nation, as part of our laws. So he's telling me that he wants us, he would like, his message would be that there is hope, that there's a brighter future coming. This is a dark part of the road where there's not any street lights and we can't see our way. We feel like we can't see our way. He's saying, trust your heart. You know in your heart what is right and what is wrong. You don't always have to see or follow someone. He says, trust your heart. Follow your heart. Open your heart is what he's asking us to do. If we simply just follow our heart, we'll know what to do, and we'll always be on the right path. He also says that this is a time of renewed energy amongst African-American people who are becoming more involved in politics, who are becoming more involved in having more of a say in their rights and in their lives. He's also, she's giving me chills. He's showing me Martin Luther King, who is also here at this time, like right now. And he's saying that, please hear the words, that we are lifting you up. They are standing under us, lifting us up, lifting our vibrations up, lifting our mind up. Don't get caught up. Again, he wants to say that you're being short-sighted. You're only seeing the bad. You're only seeing what seems bad or negative or backwards. He says, look beyond that. Train yourself to look further ahead. Look at the Stacey Abrams. Look at these people that, the Tish James and the Fani Willis and all these people. There's so many more, right? The Warnocks, there's so many more that are out there now really making a difference in our society and in our country. And support those people, lend your energy to them, pray for them, lift them up, and stand together. He says, these energies are trying to divide you. He says these energies are trying to divide the races right now. Don't let it happen. We need everybody to stand together, of all races, of all nationalities, of all colors, of all cultures. This is a time where we should be coming together. Don't let them divide you. Divided, you will fall. So just know, he's saying, just know that he's with us, and that other prominent leaders, be they African-American or white or any other race or nationality or culture, are with us. They're all working together to lift us up, to lift up our world, not just the United States, but to lift all of us up. Okay, so that's what he has to say. Thank you for asking that question. I really appreciate it, Emily Jane. That was beautiful. Firefly says, will the current administration, meaning the Biden administration, do anything about voter suppression, gerrymandering, etc.? Yes, again, the guide said that we would be passing that very big voter law into law this year. Now, some of the things that I think that we could do a little bit more, or have more energy, or be more proactive in, would be investigating some of these races. I don't think that the Democrats have the energy for that. I'm just going to be honest with you. Again, I see Charlie Crist doing that, but I don't see it quite as much in Texas. But let me just say that they're sort of pinning their hopes on this new law number one. And number two, they're going to use that new law to go circle back and go after some of these things. We have to get some big wins under our belt first to make sure that we have a mandate from the people. Once we have this mandate from the people, you bet we can go back and hold some of those people accountable. Thank you for your question. Wiki says, now that the midterms are kind of over, which is true, they're kind of over. Will we see indictments that AG Garland has in his pockets? AG Garland, what they're showing me right now, he is I don't know how to describe this except for two visuals. One is dominoes. So if you see a row of dominoes and one clicks and the rest of them start clicking, this is what he's quite busy. He's not sitting on his hands. He's ticking these dominoes off. He's going after all of these people under Trump. He's building his case through them because every person that he brings before a grand jury or gets some sort of statement from, that's evidence. That's evidence towards Trump. So yes, you will see indictments. They may be indictments of more militia people or more, you might even see, this is interesting. You might see an indictment of somebody who handled those top secret documents. You might see an indictment of one of those people. And I mean, I kind of feel bad for him, but I guess I shouldn't, right? There was the guy that was the valet that used to be in the military and he worked in the White House, and then Trump lured him into Mar-a-Lago. And that guy has somehow been implicated in holding or doing something with those top secret documents, allegedly. They may indict somebody like him because that's how you get them to flip. And that's how you get to the next person who gets you to the next person. So they're showing me Garland starting at the bottom, and click, 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 click. He is working. He will create a foolproof trap to get Trump eventually, but he has to do it the way the law allows him to do it. I see sometimes people saying we should have indicted Trump the day after the Biden won. I mean, that's just not the way the law works. You know what I mean? I mean, we live in a free country because most of us follow the laws. So Trump is being given an opportunity to answer back to some of these questions the DOJ is asking him. And truly, several courts are working towards pinning Trump right now. We have Fani Willis, we have the IRS, we have Tish James, and we have the DOJ, and we have E. Jean Carroll. So listen, it's just a matter of time. In the meantime, it's really been very helpful for the Democrats for him to still continue to act as if he is the king of the Republican Party, because he handed us the Senate on a platter. We would not have won the Senate if there wasn't for Trump, electing or sort of like appointing his own people to run. The Republican Party didn't get to choose those people. Trump got to choose those people. And in an interesting thing that happened, the Democrats actually spent money on some of these candidates that were whack jobs. You heard me right. The Democrats gave donations to these Republican whack jobs so that they would be the candidate that we would go against, because it's pretty easy to be able to state your differences when somebody has a whack job. It's much easier to get the public's attention and to say, this is the difference. This is what this person will do. This is what I will do. And because of that, we did really well. I think 95 of Trump's people did not win. So there's a lot going on here underneath the surface. All of it is good. All of it is action oriented. Do not worry. By the time we indict Trump, he will have already annihilated the Republican Party. This is what the guides have been saying for a year. Liz Cheney bailed out, Adam Kinzinger bailed out of that party. So did a lot of other people, because they didn't want to be associated with him. They knew that he was going to bring the tent down. And he is. So, to be honest with you, if he continues going on doing what he's doing for another 6 months, it's going to benefit the Democrats, because the Republicans are not going to have, they're going to lose 6 months towards 2 short years to getting a presidential nominee. They can't put forth Pence as a presidential nominee with Trump still rallying his crazies. So do you see how this is really going to benefit us? Let them tear each other up. It's truly the best scenario. Truly. If we would have indicted Trump a year ago, the Republicans would have the House and the Senate right now, and they would be doing whatever whack job stuff they would be doing. But instead, because of Trump, we have the Senate and we're about to get the House. So we really kind of owe him a thank you card and some dead roses, as I said in my post. And I really should post his, I think it's a good idea that we all send him a thank you card. Thank you for handing us the Senate. Wouldn't it be amazing? Wouldn't it be newsworthy if he got thousands of thank you cards at Mar-a-Lago? Thank you for handing us the Senate, signed sincerely a Democrat. We should all do this. It would further muck up the Republican Party. It would pit them against each other more. And it would be newsworthy, which would be fantastic. So think about it. I think it's a good idea. I'm happy to spend the cost of a postage stamp on that. I'll tell you that right now. So Charlene Williams says, what happens to Stacey Abrams in the future? Let me talk to you about Stacey Abrams. You guys, you know I'm a big fan. Okay. Last week, apropos of nothing, literally, I saw her as a judge. And not only as a judge, but I saw her as a SCOTUS, as a Supreme Court judge. Now, I just said that's got to be a crazy thought, because I know she's an attorney, but she doesn't have any judge experience. I mean, she's never been a judge on any court. So I let it go. But then it's come back to me again and again and again. And so I looked it up, and it turns out another surprising thing about SCOTUS is that you don't have had to have been a judge. You don't even have to be an attorney. I mean, SCOTUS has got some interesting rules, you know, one of them being they self-police themselves about ethics. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things I don't think any of us knew about SCOTUS. So it turns out that if Stacey Abrams was appointed, there would be nothing to stop her from getting the nod. Now, I will say to you that I leaned into this energy. And when I did, I truly feel like it's her soul path to be a Supreme Court judge. Now, we don't always follow our soul path for whatever reason. It's a long story, but we don't always follow it. And I know that she feels, when I lean into her energy, she feels that she wants to do something. She wants to write laws. You know, she wants to be a legislator, or she wants to govern. She feels like that would make more of a difference in her state. Now, the reason also that her and Beto's energy are so similar is they're so driven by their home state. Beto is a Texan through and through. He wants to stay in Texas. He doesn't want to go to the Biden administration, or at least he didn't the last time he lost. I know the Biden administration offered him something on the down low, and he said, no, I'm staying in my state. I'm working in my state. That is Stacey Abrams. She is Georgia through and through. She's going to stay there. She wants to fight for her state. So these are reasons why she wouldn't necessarily let it be known that she would want to be SCOTUS, but it's in her energy. Now, she is young. I do see her I think that now both Beto and Stacey will be more amenable to going to work within the administration. I think they see now that it's not that they didn't have the votes. It's not that they didn't have the support. It is that the system is crooked and the system is broken, and they can't beat the system within the system. So they need to go outside of the system and get more power, more notoriety, and do things that can then affect the system from the outside. So that's why I think both of those people will probably go to more of a national role. And I think she's young, she's got plenty of time. But I think in 10 years, 8 to 10 years, we could see her either as a presidential nominee or a SCOTUS nominee. Or both. Because her energy is SCOTUS. It's big time judge energy. I really think this is what she's supposed to do in this lifetime. She's supposed to sit on the Supreme Court. So we'll see what happens, but that's what I see with her in the future. I mean, of course, she's never going to stop working for the people. Never. I mean, really, that might be her overall soul journey path, but there seems like she signed a contract to sit on SCOTUS. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for your question, Charlene. Glorious E says, oh, I lost you. There you are. Will 45 be annulled after he passes? Not indicted, but annulled. And passes meaning unalived. Swimming with the fishes. Buried in the golf course next to his ex-wife, hopefully, would be pretty good for him. Yes, I can see energy for that. I can see energy for that because he will, by then, it might not be the month after he passes. It might not be the year after he passes. But at some point after he passes, I can see them annulling his presidency. They're showing me much the way they pulled down those statues of Confederate heroes. This guy was a traitor. He's not really wasn't an American president. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Gloria C. Appreciate that question. Kabibi Tahimba says, when McConnell retires, is there opportunity for Charles Booker to run and win McConnell's Senate seat for Kentucky? Charles Booker ran against McConnell this election. No. Who did Charles Booker run against? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I can't get that information right now. But Charles Booker has run in Kentucky. He's an African-American guy. He's a good guy, good candidate. Would have done Kentucky a big favor. When McConnell's retires, is there an opportunity for to run and win McConnell's seat? Well, yes, dear, there's an opportunity for him to run. But you know what? I feel like he might run as a representative in Kentucky. He really wants, so I'm doing a couple of different things, right? I'm reading the energy and then I'm reading his energy. The energy is run for representative. His energy is run for senator. So that's the kind of the problem there. He's not done. He's not done with his political career. I see him being elevated. I see him going up the ladder, so to speak. So I do see him winning an elevated office. Okay. So I don't know if it's McConnell's seat. I don't know that it's McConnell's seat, but I do see him winning. I see him serving the United States of America as a elected official. Okay, that's what they're saying. Thank you so much. Okay, Dusty Rose says, will Beto replace Ted Cruz in 2024? Okay, Come on, guys. Let me get my big self out of this. I think because I've always seen Beto as being a senator. That's his energy to me, is senator. But he's some kind of mad now, y'all. Beto is some kind of mad. I mean, the kind of mad that you stay mad your whole life. Or even if you don't stay mad, it energizes you. It changes you in a way that it affects every decision that you make for the rest of your life. That is how he is right now. He is burning with this injustice. Okay. And why that matters is that I don't know if he's going to stop at senator. Is he going to run for senator? Oh, well, that's quite interesting. Did I just tell you guys? I think I just told you guys, but I wasn't as connected with Beto as I am now. He's not giving up on the governor race just yet, you guys. That's when I read two people. When I read Stacey and him, I'm not connected to one of them. I've been very connected to Stacey, less connected to Beto. Well, he's not done with the governor's race. He's gonna uncover something. He's not done yet. Even if he goes to work in the Biden administration, he's going to be working on uncovering. And remember, the guide said that the Texas governor, that Abbott, would likely have some kind of revelation of potential alleged criminal activity in 23. So, here's the deal. When I go into his energy right now, he's focused on governor. And I don't know why, because the governor in Texas doesn't really have that much power. He would have a lot more power as a senator. He could really do more for Texas as a senator. I don't know what's going on with him. Let me ask the question, will Ted Cruz lose in 2024? Right now, I'm getting... there's about a 60% chance that he could lose in 2024. 60. Texas is Texas, y'all. And your other question is, who will replace Stacey? Who will Stacey Abrams replace in the Senate? You're making an assumption that she's going to run for Senate. And I don't see that. Stacey Abrams and in some ways Beto, their orbit has changed. I think they're going to be busting out of their states, and I think they're going to have a much bigger orbit. I'm not sure about that question. Thank you for your question, though, Dusty. I appreciate it. Leia Meta says, will the Democrats be able to codify abortion rights if they don't have a big majority in the House and Senate next year? The answer is yes, because by the time we get to, say, summer of next year, the Republicans are going to have had enough time to crunch the data and do more polling and understand that abortion is, what the Democrats won on. So I think you're going to see, and states are like even Kentucky passed abortion rights. So you're going to see more Republicans come across the aisle to vote on this. Okay. I think you're going to see more across the aisle voting in general next year, because it didn't work. It clearly, this did not work. This sort of radicalization did not bring them votes. So I do see that next year. And the guide said that, to remind me, the guide said that when Roe went down, the guides told me that it was only going to be down for a short period of time, and then it was going to be back to the law of the land again. So yes, it's going to come back to be the law of the land again. Joan B has an interesting question. Will the former guy or the ex-president or the whatever you want to call him make his own political party to run for president as a third party candidate? So yes, I can see that because again, right. The guides are reminding me that they have always said that Liz Cheney is either going to take over the Republican Party or she's going to create her own party. Now, this is the same thing. It's the same energy. If the Republican Party wants to stay with Trump, then Cheney will create a new party. She will, I promise you guys. Now, if the Republican Party, the word they want to use is repudiate. If the Republican Party repudiates Trump, then yes, Trump will start his own party. Absolutely. And I think that's what the energy prefers. That's what Pence prefers. That's what Cheney prefers. That's what McConnell, Fox News, everybody would prefer if Trump would take his, nutters and go start their own party. It would really be a big sigh of relief for the Republican Party. And it would also make them very competitive towards us in 24. Okay. So really, we want Trump to stay in there and continue to identify the Republican Party with these nut jobs, and have the other Republicans, the Pences and the Cheneys, start a separate party, which would be very hard for them to then gain votes and control. So you can see why the Democrats would actually be supporting, strangely enough, supporting Trump to stay in power in the Republican Party. He literally is our best weapon, our best secret weapon. Gosh, that's amazing. Just crazy, isn't it? Isn't that crazy? Like who would have thought that I would be saying these things and enjoying it? I don't know what is happening to me. Okay, I really don't. All I know is that there is no chocolate in the house and it's really bad right now. So, all right, Roger Rivera says, in addition to women's rights, will immigrant, LGBTQ, and other basic human rights be preserved and codified in case SCOTUS puts them on the chopping block? Yes, Roger, I do see this now. This is part of this big wave that's going to be happening next year. There's actually some energy that the Democrats might try to get something done in the lame duck session, between now and January, but I just don't think they will. But I do see, I'm telling you, the energy of the Democrats is a little bit different. They really, Stockholm syndrome, that's what it is. They really had that syndrome of like starting to agree with their oppressor. And now they're starting to see that there's another way, that they don't have to kowtow to them. They don't even have to negotiate with them. They're just going to start pushing these things out there. You're going to see much more aggressive action from the Democrats and much more public, them going before various news sources and saying, no, that's wrong. We tried to pass this law. You're just going to see more fight back, which is good. So I do see those laws being passed. I do think that they would be bigger if we didn't have, or bigger if we had more of a majority. But because we're not going to have that big of a majority, we're going to pass them, but they're going to be a bit watered down, which is going to be sad, but it's going to be better than nothing. It's going to be better than nothing. That's for sure. And we will pass some of those laws. Absolutely. Thank you for your question, Roger. Anna Macedo, will there be investigation into Florida voting? I think I did cover that. And I think there will, because Chris is not going to let it go away. He is like going to be a dog with a bone for sure. He's going to be talking about it for years if they don't do something. Ton Tom wants to know when we're finally going to say goodbye to the remaining MAGAs in Congress, especially Jim Jordan, Paul Gosar, and Rand Paul. I got to do these one at a time because I don't do it so well. So when I go into Jim Jordan's, I don't want to go into that energy. When I go into Jim's energy, he's on the hook. He's on the hook for something. He's been recorded. There's a recording, a voice recording. Also, there's written document. He's on the hook. There's evidence that he has done something wrong, allegedly for entertainment purposes only. And so I think he's out of there by 24, if not next year, because the wheels of justice move so slowly. If not in 23. No, it feels more like 23. It feels like something. He may fight it until 24, but he gets waylaid in 23. Oh, he'll just stay in office while he's fighting all these indictments. Okay. I don't know, because the Democrats are playing hardball. These are different Democrats. I'm telling you, they're just different. They are seeing things differently. They're just not going to be as accommodating to these people. So they may get rid of him some other way. And then Paul Gosar, and Rand Paul Gosar. I don't see him. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I don't see him going anywhere between now and next year. Unless it's his own decision. Like there might be a health problem going on around his midsection. There's something going on in this area that is not good for him, actually. And then Rand Paul, who just punches all my buttons at once. I have to be really careful reading him because he's just vile, really vile. Okay. I'm hearing the words he's out. I don't know what that means, but he's out. I'm going to just take it. I'm going to take their word for it. He's out. I can't tell you when. I mean, timing is impossible. Our time, their time, completely different. There's a million different free will choices that are happening all the time that affect these things. But they just told me he's out. So I'm going to be, he doesn't have he's not going to be there. He's not going to be one of those people that has a long history there. Okay. That's for sure. Like, I don't see him just winning election after election. He's out, either in the next election or before the next election. Thank you for your question. Sage Burner says, if 45 and DeSantis don't end up running for president in 24, who will be the GOP's choice? That is a really good question. Their choice right now is DeSantis. Okay. But I have seen DeSantis having to step down because of money and washing machines, if you can put those two things together. Inappropriate use of funds, allegedly. So he may not be able to run for governor. And who would be the GOP's choice? Rubio is the only person that comes to mind right now. Rubio would put his hat in the ring, but also Chris would still put his hat in the ring. I'm telling you, he's a dog with a bone. He's not going to let this go. I think it would be Rubio, which that guy gives me the creeps too. Okay, so thank you for your question. Surly Little Early says, I am from Kentucky. Me too. has been cheating over the years that allowed Mitch McConnell to keep being elected along with other Republicans. Has there been cheating? My bad. Has there been cheating? Yes, dear. There's been a lot of cheating, a lot of disenfranchisement. I mean, excuse me. Like, right, losing your voice, right? When you're talking to somebody and all of a sudden your voice goes like this, that's your body saying, that's energy. I'm losing my voice. Kentuckians don't have a voice. There's more Kentuckians, there's more people living in the very blue city of Louisville than there is voters in these other places. So they don't have a voice. And is that cheating? Can we call it cheating? I mean, what do we define as cheating? Someone that's been disenfranchised or of ballots that go missing, right? I mean, I don't know if we have a definition for cheating in that way. But yes, it's been shenanigans. Absolutely, it's been shenanigans. And that's going to change because in the redistricting, right? They're reminding me about the gerrymandering, right? I know that there was some shenanigans because I mean, it sounds like you're just saying the same thing that the MAGAs say, but I'm sorry, just because they say it doesn't mean that it isn't true on the other side, because they're always projecting what they're doing onto the other people. I know that McConnell didn't have those votes. Okay, let me just leave it at that. Roberta Collier Morales says, how can we deal with extreme groups that foster racism and seem bent on destroying our democracy? Right. Do the guides foresee new ways to deal with propaganda? Yes, dear. This is what they're talking about. I think, honestly, this is the biggest problem that we have, because it's this is the way that they're fomenting, that this is the way that they're agitating and radicalizing people, is through this propaganda, through these right-wing talk shows, people like Tucker with an F, and all these other people that just get away with lying just because they say it's entertainment. So you're going, and the guides have been saying this for a while now. Right. And they often say that they're foes of America. They're not friends. They're enemies of America, whether it be truly Fox News or Russia, doesn't matter. They're both not for democracy. They're not for our Constitution. And what the guides often say is they're beating us up with our own freedom, right? So freedom of speech. I have freedom of speech as long as I'm not libeling someone, lying about someone. I can say whatever I want. Now, what I can say whatever I want about the government. I have freedom of speech about the government. But these people have just taken it way too far, and they really are libeling people, and we're just not fighting it enough. So I do see a new law, like the fairness doctrine that we used to have, that I think Reagan deep sixed. We are going to bring something back like that. People keep saying we can't have that because of social media. You know what? We're smart people. We're bright people. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out a new way to do this. We have to. We cannot allow these people to have these platforms and say these things that are so damaging. It's like yelling fire in a crowded theater 1,000 times a day. 1,000 times a day. Come on. At some point, Americans have to get tired of rushing out of the theater only to learn they've been lied to. So we will tackle this, I believe, next year. We have a lot to do next year, right? We've got the voting laws, we've got abortion, we've got all kinds of things that really need to get passed. But that needs to be, it's not, as I look at the energy, it's not as high on the list as I think it needs to be. I think it's number one. I think we've got to do something about this because these people are being radicalized against us. And when you say that you should be violent against an official or an elected official or a journalist, that should be end of game. That should be a terroristic threat. You should be arrested. Game over. We've got to stop this. It's extremely important. Thank you for your question. Right. Lisa Foster, another Kentucky question. When Mitch McConnell won his last election, he got the Republicans together and they changed the law. So now the Democratic governor has to replace someone within the same party. So if Mitch McConnell steps down, Bashir, the governor, would have to replace someone within that same party, which before 3 years ago or so, that was not the case. She's saying he did that because he knew he was going to step down. He couldn't stand the thought of having a Democrat take his place. Will this hold? Yeah, it's going to hold. It does not go against the Constitution. It's going to hold until we right. So Lisa, here's the good news. It's going to hold, but when we pass, what you guys need to understand, when we pass that big voting rights bill, the shenanigans that have been going on are going to stop. And then Democrats are going to start winning like no tomorrow. Because the reason we're not winning is because of red map, because the Republicans decided they were going to redistrict all of America starting something like 10 years ago, and they've done it. They've redistricted so that their people win. And Democrats are stuck, 5 Democrats and a sea of 100 Republicans. Their vote doesn't count, So these things are going to start changing. And then Kentucky will have more of a chance to change that law if they want to. So you can see how they're telling me to tell you that you can see how Beto and Stacey Abrams have learned you can't fix this from inside. You've got to go above and outside of it to fix it. So this bigger voting rights bill is going to fix it from the outside. So I do think it's going to get fixed. Again, we're not going to just be like, Democrats forever. We're going to have our battles. We're going to have, again, rowing the boat. If we're just Democrats rowing the boat on our side, we're going in circles. Sadly, we need the balance of the Republicans and the Democrats working together to move the country in a straight line. We just need both parties to be moderate and not radical, so that moderate parties can join and cross and sort of, make our way forward. Democracy is messy. It's not a perfection event. Sometimes we're going to go a little left. Sometimes we're going to go a little right. The problem is they went off the charts to authoritarianism. Okay, I'm going to do maybe 1 or 2 more and we'll close this down and I'll see you back for part 2. Donna Lynn says, will the student loan cancellations go through? Yes, dear Donna Lynn, they will go through because it's the will of the people. Again, because of this election, even the Supreme Court, even the Federalist Society, even the Republicans, they've all duly noted the temperament of the American people. The American people want this to go through, and I do think it's going to go through. Maybe it will change form if it has to, meaning maybe it'll be put into a bill next spring and it'll be done that way, but I do see it happening. Okay. Let's see if there's another question into. A lot of people still asking about Texas and Florida. Sandra Smith wants to know, where is Rudy? Rudy is hiding because he is I just see Rudy with these big tender hooks on him, and he's dangling. He's on the hook. So he's hiding out because he doesn't, first of all, he doesn't want to take sides. He doesn't want to say anything. He doesn't want to have to take sides, because everything he's saying, he's now finally figured out, is evidence against him. So he is hiding. That's where Rudy is. He is hiding from everybody. This is Rudy Giuliani, for you guys that are wondering. Last question. Oh, Marie Olga says, after what we've heard from Trump fixing Florida election for DeSantis, will someone let Chris Wray retire? First of all, the DOJ has come out and said that they did not do that they didn't help Trump fix DeSantis's election. But I would also like to remind you about Iran-Contra and how the CIA said they didn't have anything to do with that either. So that's what the guides would have to say about that. Will someone let Chris Wray retire? They just told me he's going down. His reputation will be sullied. He will. I see him walking away from the office. His back is to the office. He walks away from the office, from his appointment, from his career. He leaves. He leaves. Now, I don't think he's going to be indicted or investigated, because he might as well be a president in a sense. He knows too much. He knows too much. So the DOJ would be in everybody's best interest at some point to call it a draw. So, they're showing me those old time things where two cowboys would be pointing at each other with their guns, and they say it's a draw, So that's what they're telling me with Chris Wray. And I've been hearing that for a while, that in some ways Biden has been allowing him to stay there because he's useful to them. They're still kind of investigating him, or his act. They're watching his actions. He's actually more. That's an interesting comment. He's actually less harmful where he is. Because if he retired without some kind of quid pro quo, then he could be very harmful to the United States. So it's one of those things where keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So where he is, he's very watched. Everything he does is under a microscope. But once he walks away from that office, he's a private citizen, and we don't have that kind of ability. So that was interesting that they thought that he's less trouble where he's at than if he were to retire or leave or be removed. So that's very interesting. Look, I hope you enjoyed this particular questions with the spirit guides. I hope you're doing okay. I know the energy in general, this is the 14th of November, and the energy in general is just wacky, wackadoodle, weird. It feels heavy and ponderous. And also, I think the veil is thinning right now. The veil thins from time to time for reasons that I can't understand. But when it does thin, there's more activity. The energies or entities or souls or whatever it is that are on the other side of the veil flow through to our side of the veil much easier. There's nothing to sort of slow them down. So that's also happening. So if you're starting to see more things out of the corner of your eye, have more weird, unexplained experiences, have weird dreams, have premonitions, sense that somebody is in your house when they're not, or when you don't think there's anybody in your house, that is because the veil is thinning. I would suggest to you to call on Archangel Michael, surround yourself with white light, surround yourself with positive thinking, as we are all sort of have been beaten up by this midterm energy, where we may be a little low in our vibration right now. You don't really want to be low in your vibration when the veil is thinning, because some of these entities have a low vibration. So they're going to come in here. They're going to make you more depressed, feel worse, feel tired, feel angry, feel sad. You're going to have the opportunity or the potential to feel more of those things with this thinning veil. So my advice to you is do everything you can to lift your spirits. Watch funny movies, listen to funny things, comedians, listen to upbeat music, meditate, surround yourself with white light, call in Archangel Michael, sage your house, sage yourself. When you take a shower in the morning or the evening, imagine that the water coming down over you is God's light and love, replenishing your soul with light and love, replenishing all of your molecules with light and love, enshrining you in protection of light and love. So that's another thing that you can do every time you take a shower. Just imagine that that water is divine light and love coming down to heal you, to lift up your vibration, and also to provide a shield of protection around you. So thanks so much. You take really, really good care of yourself. We're going to get through this just fine. I think in a few months, we're going to look back at this and be like, the energy suggests it's going to feel like a semi truck went past us and our hair blew up, but we didn't get hit by it. So that's kind of, a near miss by a semi truck is how I feel like we're going to look back at this. So yes, but everything is going to end up so much better than it could have been. So take really good care. I'll see you again right here on this channel. Look for part 2. It's coming soon. Take care. For entertainment purposes only.